Okay, lads, massive game coming up in the Premier League in midweek. Tottenham Hotspur against West Ham United. A small matter of a huge London derby between these two teams. I think both teams probably need a big win, right, to kind of kickstart their seasons a little bit. It's been pretty good for Spurs so far. Then a bit of a dip and a good result of City. And then for West Ham, kind of recovered a little bit after some pressure was built on David Moyes, but then a disappointing draw against Palace last time out. So, Andy Edwards, I'm going to come to you first as our resident Tottenham Hotspur expert. What a fight back for Tottenham. Injury hit Tottenham, by the way, away at Man City to draw 3-3 in that crazy game. Does it feel like Ange Postecoglou was vindicated a little bit by going for it in these games and going for it away at City? So brave, right? They were so open. Yes, it could have ended in tears, but you have to give the guy credit. Always goes for it. And that's his philosophy, and he's sticking to it. And, kind of worked against Man City and surprised them.
Yep. The man has a code, and he believes in it, and he practices it every day. And I think it's a big reason why the players have bought in the way that they have, and that they already. This doesn't happen this quickly. That players are coming out and just gushing over how much they love playing for a new coach, a new manager coming in. It usually takes some time, but I think just the way that he's connected with everybody at the club and all of the players, and given them that confidence that was obviously taken away under the last 2 or 3 managers, and there was no belief in anyone, whether individuals or as a club, as a collective, and he's given life and hope back to Spurs, to the fans, to the players, everybody involved with the club. I think feels and can see what the direction is that they're going under Ange, and that has not been the case since really the early years of Mauricio Pochettino. And there's a lot of parallels between those two, and I think the way that they view the game and honor and the things that are really important in the world within the context of the sport, like they just, I don't know, they're deep thinking guys, I think, and their football pretty good as well. So to see Spurs with the injuries, like you say, Joe, come back multiple times against City, against the 3-time defending champions on their field, and take something from a game they probably had no business doing. I think you could say it's the best result of the season, and they had a lot of wins the first 10 games of the season. But to me, that just I think shows what the progression and growth is under him.
Yeah, I guess the belief, right, and what they're doing as well, because it could have been really easy just to say, oh, we're going to go back to defending and, just kind of hang on and hope for the best. But I think what we've seen with this Tottenham team is that there's progress in terms of what they want to do. And it's interesting to me to hear fans of Tottenham talking this season. There was a lot of talk ahead of this Man City game saying, oh, you should go there and just shut up shop, change the philosophy, try and nick a point. And actually, a lot of the Tottenham fans are like, no, we don't want to do that. We'd rather go there and lose 5-4 or 4-3, but have a go. And I think that's the DNA of the club, right? I mean, to dare is to do is the motto and all the rest of it. And a lot of clubs have these kind of mottos, but Tottenham is really, when you speak to the fan base, they're all about entertaining football. When you think about all the great players, Hoddle, Gascoigne, and so many others over the years, it's all about entertaining. And you get that with this Tottenham Hotspur team, right? Nick Mendola. And I think for me, it's really interesting that they keep doing this. And there are some players that are standing tall, right, in the absence of some of these, key players like Mickey van der Ven and James Maddison. I mean, who's impressed you for Tottenham in recent weeks, Nick? Because, there are a few that have really stood tall.
Yeah, it's hard not to say Kulusevski stands out after the performance we saw yesterday, but goals and assists tend to scream that way. I'm going to be cheating here, and I think Andy will accuse me of cheating as well. It's Son. I mean, it's still Son. For every single day, you could look across the water and see what Harry Kane is doing at Bayern Munich. And if somebody else wasn't taking up the leadership mantle and the goals mantle and the playmaking mantle, and he always seems to be around the players who need an arm around them, I just think he is an ideal person to have at your club, extremely likable. And I think there are times I think he deserves almost as much credit as the change in philosophy, because you need someone who is going to take, all right, this manager who a lot of you guys don't know, did a lot of great things at Celtic. He's here. We're saying we should do it. You need the leader to buy in too. And I think Son deserves so much respect for that, especially in the game like yesterday, which I don't mean to make Andy doubly angry with me here when I say this, but a day that bravery we discussed, it could have worked if they lost 5-1, and frankly, they could have. I think they turned up 0.4 expected goals, but the guys were all bought in. And what I loved was, I don't know if it was Son who said it after the game, that at halftime, Ange walked in and dressed them down. He didn't dress them down for how they were performing. He dressed them down for not going for it. And when you're getting bossed, and I thought they were like, I know the score was 2-1. I thought they were bossed in the first half. And the coach doesn't come in and say, all right, we got to shut up shop. He's like, no, keep going to get it. That's a statement game, whether they win or lose.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant to watch. And I think I spoke to Mickey van der Ven earlier in the season after the North London Derby draw. He said the same thing. He's like, as a centre-back, we get so much belief because we look over to the sideline, even if we give the ball away by stepping up high, and the coach is like, again, keep doing what you love to do. And obviously he's been one of the big misses, so has Maddison, but it's been amazing to see this assembled Tottenham team in some form. A lot of players who were given second opportunities really coming to the fore, like Lo Celso, I thought was excellent once again, got his goal, and players just really stepping up in the absence of some massive players. In terms of West Ham, I watched their game at the weekend against Crystal Palace for PST. Very much a West Ham against Crystal Palace, David Moyes against Roy Hodgson game, a draw. Both teams kind of settled for it. West Ham went ahead. Kudus was excellent against Burnley in their recent win, 2 assists, then scored. But obviously the injuries to Antonio, and then Bowen came back, but didn't quite look the same energetic force that he usually is this weekend. So I guess we talk a lot about Moyes being under pressure, don't we, Andy? But what do you expect from West Ham in this one? Because they can probably be more pragmatic and sit back and then hit Spurs on the counter. That's probably the approach they're going to go with, and sort of is the West Ham way under David Moyes in recent seasons.
Yeah, they've obviously dealing with Europa League this season has been a bit of an issue for them. And I think last time out, after they played their 4th Europa League game, was the first time they got anything from the ensuing Premier League fixture that weekend. And so that turnaround from Thursday, Sunday has been a little bit difficult for them. Depth, I think, is a bit of an issue. They don't quite have what they've got there. And if Jared Bowen and Antonio are going to be out for any period of time, whether right now or in the future, they're going to struggle, I think, to create chances just a little bit. But I think you're right to mention Kudus there. He's been electric since he's come to West Ham, and I do worry from a Spurs perspective a little bit. Him with Udogie over there, and if it's going to be Ben Davies next to him, that's not exactly the quickest center back and not the most defensively sound fullback operating on the left side. And so there will be some opportunities for him to really cause some problems for Spurs. So if West Ham come out and try and play a bit the way that we know that they can, they don't always do though, then this could be a really, these games are always intense and tight, but it could be really entertaining as well.
Yeah, there's been some really great ones over the years, though, hasn't there? Some crazy wins, late drama, all the rest of it, back and forth. So hopefully that's the case. Nick, score prediction, what are you going for, mate?
Oh, I mean, Tottenham clearly the best of all the hams in the league. So I don't think West Ham will go for it. I think that's their fault, and I think Tottenham will kind of waltz here, maybe 2-0, 3-1.
2-0 to the North London Ham against the East London Ham. Andy, what are you thinking, mate?
That sounds far too simple to be Spurs, especially this season. So I'll go with a 3-2. I think it's going to be very entertaining. And West Ham, like Spurs look at Chelsea and Arsenal, I think, as their main rivals, like slightly above them. And I think West Ham views Spurs in a similar light. And so this is always a slightly, and that's no slight to them, but that is a slightly bigger game for them. And so it usually just means that a little bit much more, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 3-1 to Tottenham. I think West Ham defensively has been some issues for them this season, which is kind of unlike them. And I just think they have lost a little bit of that attacking force. And I think Tottenham will take huge confidence from that draw away at Man City. Yes, the squad is banged up, but eventually they're going to get some of those players back over the next month or so after the busy festive period, most of them. But it's going to be really interesting to see how they kick on now under Ange because, they're still in the title race. I think when you look at the teams above them, they're still the point. They haven't pulled away from Spurs, even though they've had this rough spell of results. So there's a lot of confidence there in the Tottenham side of North London and North London generally with Arsenal too. Okay, head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest how to watch information, team news, preview, analysis, video highlights, and much more on a huge London derby, Tottenham against West Ham. Cannot wait for this one, lads.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.